Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a follow-up interview. We got somebody that's a little distracted right now, streaming his own Twitch gaming system over here, so apparently. Just kidding. We got DJ Temple in the chat right here. What's going on, man? How are you?
Good. I just have to beat this level of Mario Sunshine, which is fine.
Dude, I like the PS. Were you just using an Xbox controller, though?
No, that's PS5.
Okay, I was gonna say because it looks like an Xbox. And I was gonna say you have the PS. I had the PS2. I haven't had anything since then. So
I'm a complicated soul, Jacob.
that's cool, man. It's a pleasure to have you back on the channel, man. Thanks for taking time to hang out.
Thanks for stroking my ego, making me feel like I'm important.
No, man, you are absolutely. Absolutely. So we were chatting. I don't know. I got to figure out what to call these backstage, back Zoom, pre Zoom, where we were talking, we were joking about how we have very similar subscriber bases. Actually, we weren't joking about that, but the joke was the fact that we have very opposite schedules. Because you said this is very early for you, and meanwhile, my day I've been up since. I've been up since like 4:45 this morning. So. Yeah, which is your 1:45. So like you weren't even getting ready to go to bed, were you?
No, that's the joke. I watched some of your vlogs where you're like, "Oh, I'm up. Slept in a little bit today. I got up at 5:30. Went to the gym." I was like, "Yeah, I'm still up. I'm still up."
See, you're a harder worker than I am. Then you're still up.
That's just different hours.
I complete. People are like, "Oh, I'm so impressed. I wish I could do that." I'm like, I'm still getting like 6.5, 7 hours of sleep. So whether I went to bed at 1:30 and got up at 7:38, like it's no different. It's just I like to get up earlier.
100%. What about you? What about your wife? Does she keep the same hours as you?
Kind of. So part of the reason we get up so early, she's a labor and delivery nurse. So she leaves the house by 6 a.m. But she only works 3 days a week because of 12-hour shifts.
Oh,
so those days, like when we will go to the gym often when she's working before she goes to work. So we get to the gym by 5. But then again, like she was in bed last night by like 8:30, which is very early for us. Like we're usually in bed by like 10, so most people's night isn't even starting until 10 p.m., but we're going to bed.
I feel you. I like to be in bed by 7:30 too.
Yeah, exactly. 7:30 a.m.
Yeah,
Which is funny because you're in Pacific time. So that's my 10 a.m. Like I'm practically getting hungry for lunch at that point.
Yeah.
I have pre-lunch at that time. I have pre-lunch
second breakfast.
It's a second breakfast, exactly.
That's exactly a solid right. Lord of the Rings reference, everyone. That was
exactly. Dude, so how's it going? It must have been. Oh, I could go back and look, but I don't remember off the top of my head. What June? Maybe the last time we spoke, we were on a live stream together.
Yeah, I just remember it was hot. It was really hot.
It must have been around that time, somewhere between May to July-ish, right?
Yeah, and we were. I live in the town of Abbotsford on the west coast of Canada, and I was unbeknownst to us, we were about to hit a 45-degree weather day, and we go in Celsius. So whatever you guys translate that to Fahrenheit or whatever, just that was awful.
Really, I have no idea how hot that is, but
like Google it. We actually lost a town. An entire town just couldn't handle it and burnt to the ground. Like, look it up. It's insane.
That is crazy. That is wild.
Yeah,
and now we are in the complete. I don't know what it's like for you, but it is very cold here.
Well, we're Canadian, so I don't even know if that's a thing for us anymore. It's cold. Have you seen the videos? We throw hot water boiling and it just turns to snow.
Oh yeah, man, I love that. It's crazy. Although now that I'm a homeowner and everything like that, the snow is way less cool than it used to be. Oh man, I'm like, man, the 2 hours that it took, I could be filming videos with this 2 hours that it took me to shovel out and snow blow out. You know what's funny? You guys obviously have snow blowers by you, right?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Okay, well, I was with traveling that I've been doing, it's funny, people don't know what that is. They've never heard of it because they don't need it. And I was like, oh, that's so, it's just like a cultural reference that you just would, I'm just surprised. It's not like you being like, oh, forget about it, a cultural reference like that, like New York, Brooklyn, forget about it kind of thing. But it's like a machine that we use all the time. Everybody in New York knows what that is. And if you go to Texas, they don't. They've never even heard of it. It's like, oh wow, that's just really interesting. That's a really big cultural difference within the U.S.
There's an entire side hustle up here where people like negate the reference, or not, sorry, they negate the appreciation or depreciation of their vehicles to the bank loan that they're applying for, saying that, hey, I can put a shovel in the front of my truck and it will be a snowblower thing, and they like clear out driveways and stuff.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like a
absolutely.
side
Dude, that
hustle.
that was me as a 15-year-old kid. I borrowed my I borrowed my dad's snowblower, and not the plow, the blower, so like the one that has like you walk kind of thing. And I walked up and down my street, knocked on people's doors. Hey, can I blow out your driveway for $50? Hey, can I blow out your driveway for $50? And then I ran out of gas and had to push it all the way home.
And didn't tell your dad and left it in the garage.
Probably with no gas.
I don't know what happened.
I just did.
It evaporated, Dad. We
Yeah,
learned
it
about
was too
these
cold.
times.
It was too cold. Oh, that's funny, man. That is too funny. So what's been going on the YouTube world for you lately? How's it been going?
Steady as she goes. Just trying different things. Like my whole shtick is I'm a music educator, so I like to rip stuff apart and look at it like why it works and how it works.
Mm-hmm.
We did that, Brad Steele.
Mm-hmm.
So we did Brad Steele's big song when it came out, and I was like, "Oh, interesting note choice," and he's doing this, and oh, that's kind of interesting. And then there's at one point, I think it was his, I paused, and I'm like, he's more than likely going to go to this note, and then he went to the note, and I'm like, it just kind of moved on. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. That is cool. It's cool when you kind of can hear those things. People. I mean, people find it so impressive, but it comes with the job. We've done it so many times. Are you a music theory nerd? Like, do you know a lot of music? Yeah, cool.
I'm a nerd.
I love music theory, but I don't get to talk about it as much as I used to, just because even when I do the reactions and stuff, like there's only so much music theory you could really, go into, just because it's like the conversation doesn't really lend itself to that.
Yeah, unless you're a nerd, then like you make it like, oh, it's Tuesday. Yeah, and did you know that modal harmony is?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, slow down, DJ. It's
Exactly.
really fun.
I mean, the farthest I'll get will be like, oh, that's the 5 of 5 kind of thing. We're using, we're going from whatever that would be, with the B major chord, because we're in the key of A, right? So you're using the 5 of 5. Like, I'll slowly get into it. I just recently talked about resonant frequency. Do you know what that?
Oh, look at you.
Well, I took this class in my 1 year of college. One of the best classes that I ever took in my life. It was called the Physics of Music. And it was or the physics of sound or something like that. It was so cool, man. It like taught me what the difference between reverb and echo was, and like how far away something actually had to be for you to actually hear an echo, like however many meters it is, and how resonant frequency works with atoms moving in any body or anything. And if you hit that frequency, it'll ring out, and that's actually how people like shatter glasses. Is they're hitting that resonant frequency. And it's vibrating so violently that it actually shatters.
Now, if you did a study on like atoms and stuff, what about all the Jeffs? Did you study?
Yeah,
on the
exactly. Well, no, they haven't done that yet. They've only done the Eves.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah. You should have done it in the morning, because that would be counterproductive. If it was in the evening, that'd be counterproductive. See, that's how you know we're both nerds. We're making terrible jokes right now.
Exactly, but right over most people's heads, music theory heads.
Don't be flat.
Exactly. No, but I was talking about it because you could hear it was like a really bad recording of like a 1990s recording of something. You could tell it was filmed on one of those handheld cameras, and like every like fifth note you'd hear like it'd be like really loud. I'm like, oh, it's in the resonant frequency of the camera for sure, or the microphone for sure. Like it's just ridiculously loud, and it's overloaded, and you could just tell.
Where'd you pick up your theory stuff?
School. I took music theory classes in high school.
Oh, dope. Mm-hmm. Dope. That's cool.
Yeah,
they didn't really have it.
They didn't have it in your schools?
Not really. I took band and stuff. I actually interviewed my old high school music teacher on the channel.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, I should. Bro, I gotta do that. Oh my gosh.
There you go.
My high school teacher was the piano player for Meatloaf.
Oh,
yeah.
That's cool. Not everybody gets a win.
What?
Nothing. It's cool. That's sick.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was 15 and not into that kind of music, so I didn't really care at the time. But, he was just my music teacher. But now, like, I'm like, oh, that's actually a cool talking point.
100%. We brought mine on, and he was just like, "Why am I here?"
That's funny.
It was really funny. He's a great guy, Mr. Ward. Shout out, Mr. Ward.
That's cool, man.
He's a rad dude, rad human. But you
Yeah.
took classes in school. That's legit. Like what kind of stuff do you guys cover? How many years is high school even now? Because I got a bunch of students now. It's like, where does middle school? We don't have middle school when I was in school. So I'm like, what? Middle of
Hmm.
this quarter term ninja thing? I don't know, man.
Well, they just changed it for us too, because in my district, because of low enrollment, they just closed a couple of schools, so now they have to switch it all up, and who knows? Which I'm really sad because my wife and I both went to the same elementary school, and her parents went to that elementary school, and we live right by there. So like we bought her parents' house, so we could walk to the to the elementary school. Like we were all bummed that our kids won't go there one day, like the generation, and now we have to ship them off somewhere else. But point being, they have 4 classes, 4 years of classes you could take. It's called like music comp, which is I guess comprehension. I guess. Funny story actually, and I'm curious if you have a similar story. But we have, I'll tell you in a sec. We have music comp, then we have AP music, and then IB music. Which once you started to get to the IB stuff, which is like the international baccalaureate stuff, it's like I think they were started because they wanted a school system or school curriculum that what is it called? Diplomat kids can take. Because if they're traveling, to Kuwait or to America or to Japan, they wanted the same education and not different education. So they all be learning the same thing. I think it's called the International Baccalaureate. But once you start to get into that music theory, it's just like you're in like Debussy, like all this like funky chord stuff. I'm like, this stuff is bogus. You know what I mean? I'm like, forget this. This is non-chordal harmony and it's just dumb. But funny story, and I'm curious if you have a story similar, is I took my first year of music comp, and like we were like maybe 2 or 3 months in, 2 months in maybe, and he was teaching us key signatures, and I was not getting it, and I was frustrated and stressed, and we had tests coming up in it, and I distinctly remember being in the kitchen with my mom, and she had the dishwasher was open, and we were talking about it. And I was like, I don't understand this. And I was like, really, really close to quitting the class and dropping the class because I was like, I don't get it, and this is horrible. I'm gonna fail out of the class. Like, I don't get it. And then, boom! The light bulb switched, and I was like, oh, that's how they work. And then I just started loving theory, and I just became really good at it just because I loved it and it just made sense.
That's that. I mean, that's a great. And what grade would that have been then?
I think 10th grade for me. So, yeah, I don't know what that was my first year of it.
So the light bulb goes off, and you still got a solid 2 years to learn more shit. Like that's
Oh
what's
yeah,
up.
yeah, exactly.
That's
Two and a,
what's
like
up.
it was the beginning of that year. So like I had 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so dope. That's probably my biggest regret in life is I became like after school. This is a side segue, but like after school, I became like a history like nerd. I was interested in things like World War II. How do we get to that point?
Mm.
How does it go from like, ooh, I'm mad at you, to like catastrophe of the human enterprise? And I remember in high school they actually brought a Holocaust survivor in when I would have been in grade 8 to give a speech. And I was grade 8, and it was like 8 in the morning. I was tired. I didn't care. And I'm like napping through it. But now I'd be like, dude, no,
Mm.
no. And same with music theory stuff. Mr. Ward would be showing us same things like chord progressions or counterpoint or whatever. And I'm like, I'm a trumpet player. What the hell do I care about chords, dude? I
Uh-huh.
remember. But then trying to go to like music college and stuff and being like, I really wish I paid attention to Mr. Ward
Hmm.
because I'd have a leg up right now.
Yeah.
Um, Even now, he listens to my band stuff and he'll send me messages like, "Oh, interesting chord choice there. What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm superimposing this over that." He's like, "Ah, I heard it." Looks really
I
cool.
love
Yeah,
that. Oh,
cool,
that's
cool.
funny, man. That's so funny. But I'm curious about, so in your classes, like I suck out like a sore thumb though because I didn't play in band or orchestra or choir or anything like that. So you had all these kids be like, "Oh, my teacher was Mr. Doyle," and be like, Mr. Doyle would be like, "What did you guys listen to over the weekend?" And they would be like, "Oh, Beethoven's Sixth Symphony," and I'm like, "The Fray," like, I
Yeah.
was like, I did not fit in. So there was a part in going into college when I went to music school for a year where it was a listening exam and you had to it was actually a music history exam, so and you had to know what song, what composition it was, and whatever it was from. And I failed. I didn't know anything because that just wasn't the stuff I cared. I was like, I don't really care. I'm not into this stuff, and obviously, I haven't needed it since. So,
I mean, yes and no. I've listened to some of your stuff because like I follow you and like you'll post something about I don't know. The first thing I don't know why this is the first song that comes to mind because you're releasing a lot of material. So like props, like your volume is great. But like I don't know why every time someone speech DJ. Anytime
I'm concerned with what you're gonna say. Oh no.
I'm building it up for dramatic effect. Anytime somebody mentions Jacob Restituto, I go, oh yeah, Colorado.
Oh, thank God it's that. Okay. I thought it was going to be like TikTok made me famous or something like that. Oh, my gosh.
Like you're shooting, I saw you shot some video. I haven't caught the video if you've released it yet, but you shot something about in the snow or something like that. And I was like, oh, yeah, cool. Or you had your Christmas thing that came out. I was like, oh, yeah, good for him, Colorado. Like, I don't know why that's the thing that registers every single time.
That's funny you say that because personally, I love that song. But it didn't hit with most people, which is it's really interesting to see what hits and what doesn't hit. Right. And I mean, that's the question of life in the music industry, but it's surprising. Some of the songs I'm like, oh, that was an okay song, or like the songwriting was all right. And then boom, all these views or all these streams. And then Colorado, I'm like, this is a good song. And it's like, people are like, oh, this is cool.
I usually mess with my friends, and you have that lyric that's like Colorado's not as beautiful as you or something. And I was like, yeah, he's singing about me. I met him in June. We did a thing, and he had to write a song about it. And they're like, "What? Why is it called Colorado?" I'm like, "Because Ginger's sweetheart is a little too obvious." And like there's wives involved. My wife, his wife, they get a little jealous. That's the thing. Not my wife. She says you can have me. Apparently, she'll even pay shipping. So I don't know what that means.
That's too funny, man. That's too funny.
How you went to college? That's cool. You went to music college. That's pretty dope.
1 year, yeah.
Yeah, well, like first year's the roughest, man.
Did you go to music school?
Yeah, I had to self-audit because I just didn't have the money. The school I wanted to go to was like $30,000 a year. And I was like, what?
What is self-audit? What does that mean?
Self-audit, basically what I did was I got the entire syllabus, and then I got mentors and tutors, and I just went through the syllabus on my own.
Wow.
Challenging exams here to there.
Wow.
Yeah, so I didn't get no piece of paper on my wall, but I got as much of the 4 years as I could. It just took me a lot longer than 4 years.
That's actually really impressive because it's like that really takes some serious dedication to actually do something like that.
I guess I was just I really wanted the knowledge, and I didn't want it from a half-assed source. And the colleges that were near me here in Canada were like, I don't know if anybody listening to this, the way the music education system for post-secondary is in Canada is they basically meet you day one, year one, and go, okay, choose classical or jazz. That's all you have. Mm-hmm. I remember being like, but that's not the only thing in the world, though. Mm-hmm. Like, why do I got to choose just classical or jazz? Mm-hmm. And I ended up not settling. This is the wrong word, but I ended up discovering the Berklee College of Music, and was like, well, let's just look at the players from this. And
in Boston, the one in Boston,
yeah, in Boston. And I'm gonna say some music players, and to anyone in your audience that cares, please Google these players. Okay, John Petrucci. Who you of all people need to know John Petrucci because he's from your area. He's from like Long Island, which I assume is closer to you than it is to me.
I'm from Long Island.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Matt Gartzka, all these freaking like monster musicians. Yeah. And they're all like, yeah, we went to Berklee. You're like, okay, apparently there's a thing.
Yeah.
So I remember grabbing the textbooks and finding a mentor. One of the mentors lived in Vegas, and I flew to Vegas and did like most of a semester in 5 days. He was just like annihilating me with like the second I'm off the plane. Okay, so tension 4 is equal to this, and then watch out for the secondary dominance. You can do a 5 of 5, but watch for a 7 of 2 if it's a 5 of a 5 over a 1. Now, what does that mean if it's B? I'm like, who are you?
Wow, like, my brain is spinning right now trying to follow that, but yes.
It was so crazy, dude, because you talk about 5 of 5, which falls in the world of secondary dominance. And what's super dope is you can take something like secondary dominance and manipulate that using a leading tone. Mm-hmm. And most people go, leading tone means what? And you go, well, leading tone is like 7, sharpening it, major 7, whatever, pushing it into the 1. But you can also do that with the 4 chord and create what's called Hungarian gypsy minor. and then it creates the person to be manipulated with their ear and not understand. Are you going to resolve to the 5 chord? Are you going to resolve to the 1 chord? They're very confused where
So
you're
what
going.
do? Do you sharp the 4, like raise the 4th?
Yeah, and you the cool thing about this is it teaches you the first aspect of key signatures do not have to be static, and you're allowed to switch at will. And this is what he's telling me from the tarmac to like the baggage claim. And then I get to my hotel and he passes me this piece of paper. I'm like, what the hell is this? He's like, it's your quiz. We just did a whole thing. So tell me about secondary dom. I'm like, what the hell, dude? Can I eat? He's like, eating's at 3. And he had scheduled like all my eating, all my bathroom breaks. I was allowed to sleep for 4 hours, but really you should probably study because you got a cord test in the morning. I have a picture on my Instagram of like a Fender Strat laying on the second bed of my hotel room, covered in handouts. And it's like all the shit I had to know by noon.
Oh my gosh. That's
insane.
Crazy.
But I was just, I'm sure you get, I feel like I get this vibe from you. I was just hell bent on understanding that I was about to open a music academy and this was the last hurdle that I needed. I needed to get this stuff done and there was no force on earth that was going to stop me from it. What, I got to go without sleep? Oh, wah. I got to work a little harder than everybody else? Wah. I don't care. I needed that knowledge. And dude, it's so badass. Like watching, watch a lot of your lives if I catch them. Sadly, our opposite hours, man.
Very opposite. Absolutely. I'm honored that you watch the content, though. That means a lot. I really appreciate that.
Well, I met you back in June, January, September, Q-tober, whatever.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
And I was like, oh, cool. I seem like he's like the similar kind of dude. And it's just like, I think the reason we haven't grown into friends is because it's just hours are insanity. I forget that you're 3 hours ahead of me. So I'm messaging you at like 9 o'clock at night, like, what's up, bro? And you're like long asleep.
Well, and you asked me to join a live stream once, and I think it was, I don't remember if it was 7 p.m. your time or 10 p.m. my time, your time, and it was like, I was like, oh, that's way too late for me, man.
Yeah, I remember because I was out for dinner with my wife when you messaged me, and I'm staring at my phone going, 8 o'clock is late for this? Oh, wait, time change.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, whoops. Like you don't think of it.
Yeah.
It's really weird. Like I teach a lot of people internationally on Zoom and stuff as a guitar teacher, teaching them in Greece and Japan and stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's what time is that? And I carry the 1.
Oh gosh.
Oh, but daylight savings. It's
crazy.
Pretty nuts.
So
man.
Our interview was 8 months ago. So whatever that means. It was 8
so
months
every
ago.
8 months we check in.
Yeah. So I guess I could probably actually see the date. It was May 21st.
Gotcha.
That's when it was.
Now, I have noticed that since those 8 months, one of us has something behind us that the other probably a little jealous of. And I'm going to tell you, you don't need to be jealous of this PlayStation.
You know what? I mentioned it from the beginning of the conversation that I like that PlayStation thing.
It's what about my awesome? Surely not everyone was kung fu fighting.
I was looking at that too. I very much misread that though at first.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't really know what you would have misread it as, but you can tell me later.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like trying to get it out of the frame at first, and I was like, "Oh, there's no curse words in that, actually."
Yeah, because that's my reputation, people. That's my reputation. It's I want to mention, like you were talking about, what'd you guys listen to on the weekend? And this is a chance for me to talk about how dope Mr. Ward was, because I've always liked the heavy shit, dude. I've always liked it. It just seemed more honest to me. And there's something to be said about when you're going through like puberty as a man, you got all that testosterone and anger and stupid trash can, like stupid things that make no sense. But metal was just like gave me validation to those feelings, which I loved. And Mr. Ward would be like, what is everybody listening? And, you got those tryhards. Oh, we dissected Beethoven's third movement, and we're curious if you can discuss. You see him like roll his eyes like, you're still getting a B. But he would ask everybody, and then he'd go to me and be like, does Pantera have a new record? And I would just go off. Yeah, Pantera this. And we had him on the live stream, like I said, a few months ago. And he's like, what are you listening to now? And I'm like, Cattle Decapitation. Have you heard of this band?
Did he? What did he? Had he?
he's like, no, of course you would listen to a band. I'm like, yeah, that's a wicked band. Or there's Whitechapel, and he's like, oh, that's actually not that awful of a name. I'm like, oh, it's named after the area of England that Jack the Ripper killed everybody in.
Oh my gosh.
And he's like, I listened to Miles Davis, DJ. it was pretty good. So yeah, it was not just a phase. So.
Exactly. Hey, you know what though? And you turned it into a career.
Well, yeah, I mean, metal's like some of the greatest musicians still
absolutely.
Exist.
There's no, I completely agree. I think some of the greatest musicianship is in that metal, hard rock, guitar, and drumming and bass. Actually, all the instruments. That genre, I think, has some of the best artists. And I think it goes misinterpreted because it can be off-putting to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But when you actually listen to the instrumentation, like, it's ridiculous. The double kick drums that they have, the machine gun kicks that go like, it's absurd. Especially when some guys do it with one foot and they're actually hitting, like, so people don't know how a kick drum works. There's like a triangle thing kind of thing where it looks like this and it has a back, and this is where you rest your foot, and when you hit down, it pushes the lever to hit the kick drum. In that genre, they have a double kick where usually where the hi-hat is, there's a second kick, and you can actually use both your feet and give a kind of sound. Some guys, though, correct me if I'm wrong, will use a single kick and hit down, and with the back of their foot hit again, and they're going like this and creating this with their single foot. And here I am just trying to strum the guitar and sing, and these guys are all over the place. It's absurd.
They call it the heel toe method.
Yeah. Okay. Exactly.
And then the crazy guys are the guys that do it with the double kick pedal.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. That's
crazier than the heel toe?
Yeah, because what they'll do is each foot will go heel toe, heel toe, heel toe, heel toe, heel toe, heel toe, and they end up getting 8 to 16 strokes per beat or something. It just gets
crazy,
stupid. And it's the secret to how they get the drumming so fast it sounds like you're ripping paper. They just get like, but you're like, clearly he just played that. Like, there's a thing called blast beats. Do you know that?
Mm-mm.
It's when, like, imagine like 30-second notes on a guitar, like, but they're doing it one-handed on a drum.
Okay.
And it's huge in the metal sound. People think that I was talking about this on my channel. I made them listen to this. We did 25 Days of Christmas, and one of the songs requested by my vocalist, and he was like, do Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer by a band called I Declare War. I was like, all right, it sounds like a friendly family fun name, so let's just get right into that. And they totally do it. But you hear this sound, and everybody on the channel thought they were doing this on the snare drum like a marching band. I was like, guys, no, it's one-handed. He's doing it one-handed. And they have a whole gravity thing where they can go like this down on the ridge of the snare drum and then get another beat on their way up. So you just see them doing this, but they're getting two beats per stroke. So it's like, it's insane. But have you heard, I'm going to nerd out with you here real quick. Now that I know you're a music theory nerd, buddy, it's over. It's over. Like, just block me on Instagram. Like, that's it. Have you heard of a band called Meshuggah? Okay, there is physically not a band better at timing. I give up. I've tried looking. I give up. Like, so much that I was doing the Berkeley thing, self-auditing and stuff, and they brought Meshuggah up when we talked about compound time. They're like, yeah, it's just Meshuggah. And we're like, okay.
For people that might not understand what that, can you explain what compound time is?
Yeah, so the cool thing about compound time, to think of it, is like musicians, we count. You've all seen some like 1, 2, and 1 and 2.
Oh, I learned how to do that in college. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2,
exactly.
Well, 1, 2, 3. Exactly. 1, 2, 3.
Well, we equate timing to time signatures, and like it might be 4/4, which means I'm counting to 4. It might be 3, which I'm counting 3, or 6/8. I mean, I'm counting to 8 by way of 6 or something. So if you think of them all as fractions, 4/4, or 3/4, or 6/8. If you came up with a common denominator of all those fractions, you would get something called the number of repeats necessary for the riff to come back to beat one together. It's how you get like chaos and then make it okay. Because the majority of music that we like and listen to and can appreciate is kind of devolved down to like tension and resolution, which is like the yin yang of stuff. You can't have one without the other. Like Jacob, how do you know what is a good tasting beverage? Because you know what a bad tasting beverage is. Exactly. And you have that thing. So, excuse me, with compound time, they go, okay, well, we have, this many different meters, and we all play it together, and then we'll end up on beat one together over here after 16 rotations or something. And we've seen it a lot. Tool does it. Tool's amazing. Dream Theater does it. Dream Theater's amazing. But what Meshuggah did was they went, Okay, well, we got like 5 members in the band. 2 guitarists, bass player, vocalist. Oh, sorry, I guess 4 members. 2 guitarists, bass player, a vocalist, and no, I'm right. 2 guitarists, bassist, vocalist. It's early, and a drummer. So we got 5 people. If we take all 5 people and each one of them did their own time signature, we could compound time the band as opposed to the riff. And you're like, what? And then they did this, and they sounded like amazing, because it's important to keep in mind Meshuggah was a band for 20 years before anybody noticed them. So like mad props. And then they went, well, hang on. Our drummer has 4 limbs.
Wow.
So if we compound time the drummer and then the drummer to the rest of us, we would get this. And they have just, it's insane, the rhythms that they come up with. And then I found out recently they don't even play to a click live.
Wow.
So I just basically like, what the hell am I doing? And I think that's the thing with like the genre that I'm super into and stuff. A lot of people write it off for 2 reasons instantly out of the gate. 1, I don't like screaming, and then they just negate the entire thing. And then 2 is the subject matter and the language is offensive to me, so I get rid of it. But what I would implore you to do is don't look at the face value of the word if it's a curse word, because half the time I dissect lyrics, they are straight up poetry that make so much sense. Like if I scream something at you, I could scream my grocery list and it would be like, ugh, no, thank you. Whatever. You read the words, oh, eggs, bacon, bread. Oh, and like, there's idiots out there that'll be like, oh, he means like he's talking about the food industry or something. You're like, no, don't look for smoke where there isn't any. But if I told you a lyric that was like, beams of fire stream through my head, I am no one now, I know only agony. You're like, oh, interesting. When I stand upon my altar, resplendent in profane glory, I shall care not for the maggots squirming beneath me. That sounds offensive. But really what it is the vocalist going, I am done with haters. I do not care. I am my own human being. The wolf does not care of the opinions of the sheep. You know, I'm doing my own thing over here. Like if I told you right now, oh, you're a fake, Jacob, you suck at guitar, you would not stop playing guitar and you would chuckle at my insignificance to your life. That's what should happen though. But people just, they tend to negate it because it was screamed or it's a little too aggressive for me. And that's kind of like how I've started to live my life the last decade or so, is I don't cut things out because the topic might be offensive or the language might be offensive. I try not to limit my speech patterns. I don't isolate, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess isolate or remove myself from things just because the subject matter might be suggestive or offensive. I want to hear that difficult conversation. And it's just like a personal thing. And I think it stems from the kind of music that I listen to.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think people immediately, not negate, but like shun the things that make them feel uncomfortable. But sometimes it's a good growing experience just in general.
Yeah, and I do a lot of jiu-jitsu, and I say that only because there's a phrase in jiu-jitsu, which is to master jiu-jitsu means you must find comfort in the uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's anything in life. It's like it's working out in general. Like you go to the gym, the only way you get better is by actually ripping those muscles, and they grow back bigger.
Or look at you. Look at what you're doing. Like the only reason you get up at 5:30, let's be real, it's because it's required of you to get everything done in a day that you want to get done.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
and
exactly.
What's the alternative? You're not going to do the thing and bitch that you wish that you would? Like, come on. It's less work just to get up. Do you know who Jocko is? Jocko Willink?
Yeah.
Okay, Jocko's got this great quote that he's like, I call the snooze button the dream killer. And I'm like, that's legit. That's legit.
Oh, that's wild. So, that just automatically changed on its own, and then you had to change it back?
Yeah, it's percussive.
Oh, really? That's too funny.
Yeah, you can get them. It's so like when we play in our death metal band, the lights change with the drum set.
That's really cool. That's actually really wild.
Yeah, ask me where I got that trick.
Where'd you get that trick?
Meshuggah.
I love that.
Yeah, please listen to Meshuggah, please.
Send me a track or two. I'll check it out.
Yeah, and then I challenge you, because we're friends now. I challenge you, count it.
Okay.
You're gonna be like, what? 4, 6, what? 7, what? But he just put the pulse. because Meshuggah does this thing. Excuse me. They do this thing where they also move the ghost note or move the syncopation or move the emphasis of one. You'll be like, son of a. It's pretty sweet.
That's
Enjoy.
wild. That's all the things we've said. I feel like the non-music theory nerd is their head is so far gone at this point. They're like, I don't even know what we're talking about.
It's I think once you get a little bit of a music education, then you start looking for examples because it changes the way you listen to things now.
Mm-hmm.
Which could be why I like the track Colorado, let's say, because maybe it's something different. I have to like dissect it, but I we're friends, so I tend to not dissect friends' work.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good idea, honestly. There was a time, honestly, even in YouTube and doing YouTube stuff where I'd be like, I'd have to like, you can hit on YouTube, like, don't recommend this page. I've done that with a lot of people because it was just not good for my mental health at the time. I'd be like, oh, they have this many subscribers. Oh, this video got this many views. So it's kind of similar concept, Yeah,
I've heard people say that about you. They're like, we can't. Jacob does like the work of 85 people. I can't keep up. And I'm like, what? It's like people that say, oh, it's big shoes to fill. I've always been like, how about you just bring your own pair?
Hey, exactly. And people, the biggest thing is people compare the job that they hate and how much they get done there to a job that is literally a majority of my life. Like, music is my hobby and my job, so I don't mind working from 5 a.m. until 11 p.m. doing it because I love it. You know what I mean? Now, there are aspects that I don't like. Like, there are certain things I'm like, I don't want to do this that I have to do. Like, I don't want to balance my checkbook. Like, but that comes with the territory, and I just have to it has to get done. But the majority of what I get to do, I'm really grateful that I get to do it. And at this point, like, I'm making money from it too. Like, there was a time where, like, I had to give guitar lessons. Oh, dude, I wore so many hats for a while, giving guitar and piano lessons at the same time, giving guitar, piano lessons, working at an art gallery, working at my parents' office and doing the books, and trying to make music and videos all at the same time, and playing gigs and stuff. Like, I had so many hats. So the fact that I'm able to do this now and on my own schedule and is a really cool opportunity. So I just
100%.
really like it. So
100%. I play guitar for a living. I teach guitar. I teach like 120 people a week at my academy right now. It's not just me though. I'm not stupid. But like, I sit there every day and I'm like, yeah, so this is a G7 chord and it's called a 7 because it implies the 7 over 1 3 blah blah blah. And you just kind of stop and you're like, yeah, this is what I'm doing, huh? This is kind of weird, kind of dope. Wow. And then when I'm done this, I'm gonna go home and shoot some videos, and I'm gonna talk to Jacob tomorrow. And this is weird. Coffee just messaged me on. I hope that's how you say it.
Kofi. Yeah.
He just messaged me over Christmas on Instagram, and I was like, he's like, oh, DJ, hey. I'm like, how the hell do you know who I am? This is weird. Brad Steele, we had him on the show, and he's like, oh, hey, man. I'm like, how do you know who the hell I am?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Dude, I love that. Being a sanguine, I love all the people that I've been able to meet through YouTube and stuff, and all the friends I've gotten. Especially because people don't understand the industry. So, like, you can talk, like, I'm constantly texting, like, 3 or 4 people just about YouTube that people wouldn't understand because they just have no concept of it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, to some degree, it's like that's why my wife talks to her nursing friends all the time. Because, like, when she says, oh, for example, a patient lost a liter of blood yesterday. I'm like, is that a lot? And she's like, that's like a deathly amount. I was like, I have no clue. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how much blood is in you. So if you lose a lot, but if she texted her friend that, they'd be like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. What did you do this? And so it's like just industry terms, but like so few people have the opportunity to do what we do that, like, you almost like before I made friends on YouTube, like, it was really, really lonely. So I implore, actually, if anybody watches this that has 500 subscribers, find 5 or 10 other people that have 500 subscribers and become friends with them. I wish I did that earlier, that I didn't wait until I had 30,000 or 40,000 subscribers to meet similar level people, because it was really lonely the first 2 years.
Yeah, I feel that.
But I think let me just say, I think the problem though is that people are like, I have 500 subscribers, I want to become friends with somebody that has 50,000 subscribers, and like, you're on completely different levels and doing completely different things, and the workload is different. It's like find people that are in the same realm as you, and then it's okay to like. It's like you should have also a friend that maybe that has that many, because then you're learning from them and stuff. But like the majority of your friends are probably going to be at the same level that you are.
Yeah, well, because it comes from a place of imbalance. Then it's like if if you're a successful musician or whatever, and I'm a budding songwriter, and suddenly I'm talking to you out of nowhere, it implies on your end you're like, what does this guy want?
Yeah,
When it could be completely harmless and innocent.
yeah.
I'm just like, no, Jacob, I like the way you do your hair. How do I do that?
Yeah, and there's
Well,
nothing wrong with like. Of course, you want to give back, but it's usually a mutual, or it should be, I think, a mutual. I talk to Brad and give him this advice, but then I text him 3 days later. How did you do this? And it's just a
yeah.
mutual thing where like if you're not at that same level, it's only going to be a one-way street, and it might get hard for the other person. But,
Yeah, but
I'm
the
not
thing
saying
about
that because we have more numbers. It's the same thing for us and a million. You know, like it'd be an imbalance if we were trying to like hang out with all these people that had a million subs. It'd be just a different level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but does Brad ever just answer you the truth, which is like, I don't know, I was just born Brad Steele. Like, does he ever just say, I heard that song, I was like, damn, all right.
That song was Kingdom of Me,
Well, yeah, I was like,
or Mine,
interesting. And
Kingdom
which,
of Me.
yeah, it was
Kingdom of Me.
really cool because a lot of people talked about the production of it, right? Which I agree, good production. But I was also like, aha, that's how heavy metal bands do their production. I was all jacked about that. Nobody seemed to care. I told my wife, and she's like, I just do the dishes. Like, I don't. Like, okay. It was
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, man, it was a cool song. That was a really cool song.
a great video too. Whoever shot the
Yeah,
video,
yeah,
like, well done.
it was
Well
really
done.
good. Yeah, I really, I want to see more of that Brad Steele for sure.
Yes, I prefer his counterpart, Steve Copper.
What?
Get it, Brad Steele.
Yeah.
Steve Copper.
Oh my gosh, we have the same humor. It's
He,
scary.
he could do an alter ego like Garth Brooks did.
Oh man, it is scary how much of the same people don't. You know what's funny? That's why I love the vlogs. But like even within the vlogs, people totally don't get this because it's all just me. Like they don't get to see me with other people really. So like
Right.
there's a very decent amount of my personality that people don't get to see. Like this, I have a very like I can be like the class clown, and I love being the class clown kind of thing. And people don't really get to see that, and I got to figure out how to start showing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you ever get jokes like it's ironic your last name's Restituto because you never?
Jacob, no restituto.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I wondered that the other day. I was like, Jacob launched his app. Okay, Jacob has a website. Now Jacob's fighting a bear. I don't know. Oh man. Hi, my name's Jacob. I do more in lunchtime than the rest of you do in the year 2021.
No, man, I love what I do, and you know what? Here's a good quote that people can snip and put somewhere. I want to be in the 1% of my industry, and in order to be in the 1% of the industry, I have to do more than the 99% of the other people and work harder than 99% of the other people. So that's my mentality. I want to be at a certain level, and if I want to get there, I know I need to do more and work harder than other people.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
That's my goal, and somebody's goal might not be that, and, and that's totally fine. But that's what I want to do. So
My goal is to just make sure that not everybody was kung fu fighting.
you know what? That is a noble goal.
That is. I saw the sign at a store and I'm like, that is genius. That's
You
the
can see
lyric.
most of it in the in the frame right now.
Yeah, surely not everybody was because everybody was kung. So good. It's so good.
Oh man, that is too funny. So
Yeah.
I wanna wrap up this because I want to film some videos with you after the fact if you're up
Oh
for
snap.
it.
Oh
Um,
snap.
But I would love to know. Last time we spoke was 8 months ago in May. What's one thing you've learned? Two things. What's one thing you've learned in YouTube, and what's one thing you've learned in life in the past 8 months?
In life, I have learned a valuable business lesson,
Oh, I'm excited to hear this.
which is unbelievably. It's massively changed my outlook on many things. And it sounds harsh, so I can go into detail if required, but I've learned to hire fast, but fire faster.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely. I
I so I spent 3 months training a person and fired them their first day. So that's a lesson I learned.
yeah, absolutely.
Now
No,
in
that
YouTube,
and that'll kill you, and that'll kill the environment of the workplace too. If somebody's needs to go and hasn't gone yet,
yes,
it's a disservice to
yes,
everybody, including the person that's there, including the person you're
yes,
firing.
100%. And it's just, everything is awful, and you don't want to do it. No decent human being
Sure.
wants to. It's the shittiest thing I have to do in a given like 12 years. I hate
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I like the feeling of like going, welcome aboard kind of thing. That's awesome. You change people's lives. More students get helped. Life is good. I hate the feeling of like, yeah, so you're done right now.
hmm
It's just
It's
awful.
it's you, it's not me, or it's me, it's not you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You want to be like, no, it's definitely you. Um,
What about
uh,
on YouTube? What's something you've learned?
the comment section isn't ever true.
Ever?
Ever. Ever. And this goes back to, I think I said this to you 8 months ago, which was if you don't want to hear the boos, then you can't hear the yays.
Are you a Gary V fan?
Yeah, huge.
Both of those 2 points are big Gary V points.
100%. And
Absolutely, because I resonate with both of those.
it's dude, some of the comments have been
Mm-hmm.
you can start to see them egging. Like I did a few Tina S videos because that's basically my wheelhouse. Tina S, guitar player dominantly playing metal songs that are like, I mean, that literally that's my wheelhouse. So I'm making comments like, oh, interesting vibrato and not quite a slightly out of tune on the pitch bend there, whatever, because a song like Tornado of Souls, let's say, I've kind of known that song for 20 years and taught it and played it and yada yada. But you see the comment thread is like, yeah, let's see you do it. Okay, yeah, so what? I pull up the camera and I play it for you? Like, come on. I'm not some trained monkey over here. Come on. But the same token, people going like, oh, that cover you did of Lamb of God is amazing. Well, I can't listen to that either.
Mm-hmm. I very much agree with you. I feel like we had the same conversation back then, but it's
Yeah.
so true. You, if what is it? If you live by their applause, you'll die by their criticism.
Yep.
It's so true. It's so true. And people, I think that here that need to understand, like, it's not like we don't appreciate the applause. Like, of course, like, I'm grateful that people are listening and liking it, but I can't let that be my motivation of, okay, they like the song, I gotta make another song. You know what I mean? Like, or I gotta make another video. Yeah, bro, I don't know what's been going on lately, but the comment section has been brutal lately. And I
I'll
don't.
tell you what happened. I'll tell you exactly what
Please.
happened. You got over 100,000, and that just brings a different thing to the party, dude. I saw it on the
Interesting.
Temple channel. I saw it at 50. And
Mm-hmm.
life was pretty good until 50,000, but 50,001 subscribers, I got called like the fat guy in his mom's basement. I was like, what the hell does that have to do with anything? I got called out for, I mean, this is the running joke on our Discord community too, is I am a 39-year-old from West Coast of Canada that is dominantly in the heavy metal world. And no, I didn't know who wrote the song American Pie. How would I know that? Like, as a Canadian, how would I know?
Oh, you call yourself a musician and you've never heard the original version? There's
No,
like
I believe-
7 billion songs out there. I'm sorry that I didn't listen to your genre of music.
No, dude, like the best quote ever was, you call yourself a music teacher. I pity the people that gave you money.
Oh
I'm
gosh.
like, this is awesome. This is awesome. Now, by the same token, I watched one of your videos and you were like, oh, I didn't know there was other music in Super Mario. And I was like, whoa, really? Whoa. Whoa. I had the same thing. But I was like, yeah, well, you can't hate. He didn't
Well,
play
yeah,
Super
but you're not
Mario.
nasty about it. There's a very different. You could say the same thing. I'm like, wow, I'm really surprised that you didn't know that. Not like you're a moron, Jacob. You know what I mean? Like,
That's true. That's true.
who knows? And you know what? It's getting hard because like I try to respond to every comment, and like there's only so much you can like take without being like one to punch the guy in the face.
That's
Like,
fair. That's fair.
Oh gosh.
That's
You know,
fair.
I'm not even gonna. I don't even want to go down that topic because it's just gonna
I
get me
think
nasty.
I'm gonna make this pledge by doing my best to show up in your comment threads from now on, and the comments I will leave are your own song lyrics, and they will not. And my goal will to be as completely out of context as possible. Like maybe you'll do a reaction video on I don't know, BTS or something like that. And then my comment will be like, did you know the average starch in a baked potato is equal to that of a French fry?
Dude,
And then I'll just,
it's so we are so funnily like so similar because I do that on a lot of people's channels. Like leave these like really cheeky like just comments. Like for example, like Brad will be like, I don't know, like a home free. Do you know like home free or something like stuff like that? Like I think it was a home free song. I think it was like, "Will you love me?" or "Will you still love me?" And I was like, Brad, will you still love me if this is that or the like just these stupid cheeky comments that. Oh man, that's too funny.
it'd be great.
That's too
Yeah, I
funny.
think that's what we can do. We can start bringing love back because
A hundred percent, man.
it's harder to do that. It's harder.
It takes more thought too.
Yeah, and like I can put my hand up and say I have never shit on a video even though I hated it. I can be like, that wasn't my thing, and then move on.
I agree. There are times where I've tried. So it's hard to give constructive criticism. I feel like too, because like there are times where I'm like, certain content creators I really like, but I'm sick of them with like their like clickbaity, and it's something I'm working on because it's so easy to make a clickbait title. You know what I mean? Because they get the views, but like this this depressed face, like my life is ruined, and I'm like, bro, like. Especially if it's not like a relatively serious topic or like close to the thing, like I don't know. And maybe I'm being hypocritical. Maybe I do it on my channel. People are gonna call me out for it, but and that's fine. Call me out. But I'm like I want to say like, hey, like, can you stop with this? Like, but how do you do it in like a way that's like not like a troll? Like me, like I want to give feedback because I like your channel, but I don't like this aspect. Because to some degree, I love when people do to me. Like, hey, I love when you did this, but you were speaking a little too fast, and I'm from Indonesia, and it was a little hard for me to understand. It's like,
Fair.
oh, like, yeah, you're totally right. Let me slow down because the 90% of people that watch this artist don't speak English as their native language, or, you know what I mean? Like, so, like,
Fair.
stuff like that, it's, like, super helpful. But not, like, dude, are you on cocaine? Like, I can't understand. Like, you know, like, it's like, how, like, that's not helpful in any way, shape, or like, I get what you're trying to say, but, like, I totally disregard the comment.
You made me think of a comment I got once where I was just really excited and I was talking fast. The guy's like, for anyone interested, just play back at like 1.5 or something. I was like, geez, that was rough. That was rough. Or like them calling you out because we're all trying to navigate the copyrights. So we're like, I know on my channel I've experimented once with like changing the pitch of the song.
Yes, I've done it like on 3 videos, and people instantly know there's something weird about this song. Or
just or people that don't have YouTube channels telling you how to navigate the block, and you're going like, yeah, I've already done that. They're like, oh, just blur the video. Tried that, didn't work. Well, it's because it's the song. I tried to pitch this. I don't. What the hell do you? Okay, look. Just before the video goes on, I dance naked in front of the webcam and hope that did something. Like, come on.
Yeah, gave you a different kind of strike.
Yeah, hi-yo. Or a different kind of sub.
You get okay, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great one. Oh man. Well, on that note, let's wrap it up. I want to say thank you for taking the time to come on the channel, man. And I thank everybody for watching this. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope it was not too music theory. We should, you know what, dude? We should film a segment, me and you, 30 minutes, maybe even less, 15 minutes of hardcore music theory. And just, like, blow people's minds with music theory kind of thing. Like, where it's just, like, you gotta be, like, you're burning your pencil kind of, like, trying to keep up kind of thing. Because I love it, man. And plus, it would keep me on my toes. Because, like, I don't think about it anymore. So I'm like, key of A had, 3 sharps. Like, I would have known that immediately 5 years ago. But, like, how often am I thinking about how many sharps in the key of A? You know what I mean? Or E flat has, like 3 flats, right?
Key of E flat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. See my point exactly. Like there's a saying my mom uses all the time because she's from El Salvador. So my whole family speaks Spanish, and she goes, and I speak it like with such an accent, but the saying goes, "Si no lo usa, lo pierda," and that means if you don't lose it, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. And it's the truth. I'm like, I don't use my music theory that often, so I just, or
Yeah,
I don't think about it enough to talk about it. But like, I know what's in the key of A. I just don't think about, oh, how many sharps does it have? You know what I mean? Because I'm not teaching it anymore.
You still take guitar lessons?
I never took guitar lessons.
Yeah, you should absolutely do that immediately, because the world of amazingness that it opens is, I still take it. I have 3 different teachers and I see them every week.
Oh, cool. Wow.
Like it's unreal. Like this one guy I'm taking lessons with right now just looks at me one day and goes, scales are bullshit, right? I'm like, what? Wait, what? Oh yeah, you're like this thing, and it just augments over the 7 chord. I'm like, whoa, back the train up. How? And he's like, oh yeah, because you see this note here, which implies this and that. They think, and he's doing it at like Mach 5 because he's crazy. I'll send you a video of him. He's beast mode incarnate. Like, it's just not fair. You ever meet those musicians that you're like, fair,
Mm-hmm.
not fair.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I absolutely, dude. Even if you want to hang you and me, man, like it's worth it. It is super worth it. I'm not going to be presumptuous that I can teach you anything, but
I'm sure you could. I'm sure you could.
These just hang on the wall for decoration. I can't actually play, according to the YouTube comments.
Oh yeah, exactly.
But it's so worth it, Jacob. I swear on all that is holy, it is so worth it.
Really?
So worth
it. I just started taking vocal lessons again, and I so want to take piano lessons, man. Like I play the piano enough to teach it, but like, piano's such a glorious instrument. Like when you actually know what you're doing, and I can play, but like I want to like play. You know what I mean? So, and maybe I should add guitar on the list, man, because I really.
Yeah, like have you ever, like you talk about key of A, for example. What's the 3 chord in A? Did you ever get
C sharp minor? Yeah.
Yeah, C sharp minor. Okay, but like what makes it a C sharp minor, and why? Like why can't it be a C sharp major? What would happen if we made it a C sharp major? What happens to that?
Well, yeah.
What happens?
Now you're modulating, but yeah. So let me see if is the answer because you have the minor third and because of the intervals that you're using, kind of thing, or are you going like even farther out than that?
Well, so yeah, like that's the level 1 is like, yeah, okay, I'm making it a minor third, which would imply the minor chord here. But if I want to sharp the 3, then it becomes the major chord or whatever. But it goes, yeah, but that's only because it's in the 3 chord position in relationship to A. So what if we change its relationship to something else and then put it in the place of that? And you're like, wait, what? Like, for example, if I treat it as the 3 chord of G major, well, then it's a B minor chord. Mm-hmm. So can I put a B minor chord in place of a C sharp minor chord? And you're like, well, no. Well, sure you can. I've chosen to do that, which means now I'm chord borrowing. What? Mm-hmm. Okay. And there's certain chords that if you play the aspect of them only become realized by arpeggiating said chord and then arpeggiating across diatonically. What? Like that gets dope. Like half the shit I see you doing, man, I'm like, man, if this son of a gun learned to sweep pick, it's game over. It's game over.
Yeah,
just,
that'd be cool.
Calling you, bro. Just calling you.
All right. Hey, you know what? I appreciate that. I would love to learn how to sweep pick, man.
Oh, that's my wheelhouse, buddy. Let me show you the ways.
Please.
That's my wheelhouse. Like I built.
Next episode, DJ Temple teaches Jacob how to play. How to sweep.
I'm done. That's my wheelhouse, bro. Because like sweeping leads to, well, actually the order's supposed to go obviously down picking to alternate picking to economy picking to sweeping to revisiting true alternate picking to hybrid picking.
Wow.
And then by that point you're just game over. It's game over. And you'll be like, look at me, I'm Jacob Restituto, and I'm basically, playing everything at once while singing.
Yeah, well, because thanks to a comment on YouTube, I noticed that I really, when I'm like playing, I favor the B and G string pretty much only. And I'll touch the other strings. No, but that's true. I was like, oh, wow, I really don't use this other 4 strings. I need to work on that. Like, there are good comments in the comments section.
I'm telling you wrong. I will tell you, as a guitar teacher of 20 years, this is what you're doing. Jacob Restituto is dominantly a vocalist. Okay, on your skill tree, if you were a video game character, You're like a vocalist and then a pianist and a guitar player, right? Like vocalist is your thing.
I would definitely, yeah, or song. I wouldn't even know if vocals were that great. I would say probably songwriter or producer songwriter, then vocalistish, then
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But let's say in the musical tree
sure.
of skill set, right? That's your thing. Is vocals are slightly ahead of the instrumentation. That's not saying you're a shitty instrumentalist. I'm
Don't
saying
take
that
it that way. I
ahead.
agree.
Now, what happens with vocalists 9 times out of 10 is they find a register of the instrument they prefer and they follow that line.
Interesting.
This is why when you watch your video, like I just watched it, if What About Bruno had a guitar solo, why do you follow a linear path? Because you probably practiced vocalizations and singing practices on a piano, and piano is a linear harmony instrument. It does not have three-dimensionality, whatever word to sound smart, that a guitar has. A guitar has three-dimensional harmonic values. Piano does not. The guitar is very much a Rubik's Cube. This is not a slight.
So you're saying I think of the guitar through the lens of a singer. Like that,
Yes.
that is fascinating. You're right. Yeah, I would like I'm playing a melody line that I could sing.
I would do a mic drop, but I have bought mics and know how expensive they are.
Yeah, exactly. Unless it's a Shure SM58, 58, you could drop that from the sky and it'd still stick and work.
That's true, but I also can't buy a replacement right now, so let's not risk it, you know. But that's 100%. I watched your video. Anytime you're doing a solo action or anything, it's like, yeah, okay, he's trying to follow. And this is not a slight. People think it is. It's
No,
not.
I totally. This is very interesting. I understand
so
where you're
crazy.
coming from, and now I can see that. I totally do. I think of it like a melody line that I would sing.
Yeah, like this one guy.
That's
I take
really
guitar
interesting.
This one guy I take guitar lessons with, doesn't mince words. He doesn't care. He doesn't care, and I'm trying not to hint so nobody knows who it is because I don't want to. I'm not trying to say anything bad about him, but the world of music education is dominantly in, oh my God, I hope the student doesn't quit on me because I need these students. So we tend to baby them. I don't baby my students. I'm really harsh to a 6-year-old because I find like they like the sarcasm.
Okay.
It makes us bond or whatever. The kids like, I use these phrases like, okay, well, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 is you're incredible. 1 is you suck, consider drums. I'm going to give you like a 9.5 because now they're used to hearing the word you suck and it doesn't mean they do. You know what I mean?
Wow, cool. Yeah, sure.
Stuff. But this one guy, my first lesson ever out the gate, 5 seconds into the lesson, he goes, stop. So you suck at picking. I thought you ran a music school.
Oh, gosh.
I'm like, what
Sounds like a
hell?
YouTube comment.
Dude, and I'm talking, I paid $100 US for a half-hour lesson.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, what? And he goes, clearly you suck at this. So what we're going to do is you're going to practice and I'm going to come back in a bit. And he left the room. Now,
wow.
When the lesson's over, did I come home and tell my wife, Janelle, that I'm pretty upset? Like, how dare he treat me that way? And like, what the hell? You know, like I worked really hard to make the money for that lesson or whatever. And my wife said the greatest thing ever. She's like, well, what would happen if your ego wasn't in the lesson? Okay. And now that was a year ago, and I still take lessons with the guy every week because he has tripled my game. Mm-hmm. And his picking economy is like, it looks like he's not moving, Jacob. He's playing like 30-second notes at 210, and it looks like he's not moving. He's so relaxed when he's doing stuff. And he perceives the instrument three-dimensionally on such a high level, which is what I'm trying to tell you. That's the next level, bro. That's the next level.
I don't even know what that means, though. What does that even mean? Like three-dimensionally? Can you define that?
Yeah. Let me grab a guitar.
I'm gonna clip this section right here. This is gonna be the new clip I was talking about.
Okay. So, without plugging it in, this is my Jackson that I play because I'm endorsed by Jackson. Yay! Hi, Jackson. So, typically, what we'll see is we'll play a scale and it'll be one direction.
Okay. Can you move your mic down slightly so it's right?
Here we go.
Yeah, there we go. Perfect.
So if I play a scale, we're typically used to like, okay, this is the low end, and as I play up here, it starts to get higher. And then some of us go like this, and it starts to get higher. Mm-hmm. What we end up to actually able to do is there's ways to play a scale going the opposite direction, and it still sounds like it's going higher.
Okay.
This is not possible in piano. I can't move to the left on a piano key and make it sound higher.
Okay. Oh, I just made you full screen. Hold on a sec. Let me bring it back. I thought you were going to keep your guitar up. So okay. So define that then.
So if I play a scale, typically a scale that we understand a scale in a mechanical context would be that it starts on a low pitch and it ends on a higher pitch.
Okay.
This is usually a visual aid, like this is lower on a guitar and I'm getting higher. If I played this, but it's not plugged in, so you won't hear anything, it tends to get higher pitch. But there's ways to play that moving the opposite direction. Like if I play a major scale here it is 3 notes per string, I'm climbing up, life is good, it sounds low. But if it was plugged in, I could do the same thing this way. I'm going the wrong direction visually, but it's still making the exact same notes pitch for pitch. This makes the guitar 3-dimensional because I can get a low to high sound going this way, or this way. And I can get the exact same sounds 3-dimensionally on a guitar.
Oh, so if I understand correctly, you're saying one dimension. Let's see. I just want to make sure it's in frame. So one dimension is this way. One dimension is this way, and one dimension is this way.
Yeah.
So like A C sharp, A B C sharp is 1 dimension.
Yep.
It's 2 dimensions, and then well, you need the D that's back here, the C sharp that's back here. But yeah, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, and then what does that happen for your chord voicings? Suddenly all those chord voicings are available to you now as well. I can shape the chord, I can shape the chord, I can shape the chord. And it becomes this, and then the arpeggio context. Do I want to sweep an arpeggio this way or that way? Do I want to tap the chord? All of these become available to me instantly, which is unbelievable to think of the guitar that direction as opposed to just box pattern.
The voice and the piano are only 1-dimensional. Like you can only make an up sound if you go up, and you can only make a down sound if you go down.
There you go.
That's really interesting. Are there any other instruments that are 3-dimensional?
I think violin is to a point, and most fretted instruments should be to a point. But guitar is the one that I know this inside out and backwards, so I can make that claim on this.
Yeah, that's really interesting because you could play the same chord like this, the A major chord. You know, the triad. Can you hear that at all?
Yeah.
Like that. You could play it like you could play it like this. Oh no, you actually can't. I don't know how else. You could phrase it in so many different ways. Like, you know.
Yeah, which most people heard on the internet is the caged method. Because it teaches you chord
CAGED, yeah.
There's a serious issue with the cage method, which it does not talk about the notes being played in the chord, and thus is extremely limiting to you. Like if I know an A minor chord is this, I know an A minor chord is Alpha Charlie Echo. It's the ace chord. It spells A, C, and E. But that also means that I can separate it here, A, C, E. Maybe I can do an octave here and an octave here, placement here. Maybe I can play the arpeggio by separating one note at a time. Maybe I can do what one of my teachers, Chris, does, which is why he plays over here. He plays the mode over here like this. Plays the guitar like a bloody piano. It's inhuman. But, Chris is, much more handsome than I am. Hey, Chris. Yeah, these concepts become available to us completely, dude. It's so gorgeous. So gorgeous.
That's wild. This is so interesting, man. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to share that with me and sharing that with all the people that are watching. I will be hitting you up for sure for more for information, but definitely everybody that's watching this, go check out DJ Temple's channel and stick around for his stuff, and check out the new Jacob Restituto app, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your day. God bless and peace out.